All right, where are we this week? This week we are at the Kings Park tournament. So these are at the what are these, Jubilee holes? I think I've only played these holes a couple times. Let's see where they played. Let's see where they've played them. I think they've only been in. Well, in this tournament we've got new pin placement, so I'm not sure. These holes haven't been in a ton of different tournaments. Yeah, they're not in alphabetical order, so here we go. See if I can find them. Jubilee Grove. Jubilee Grove. I guess they've been in 3 different tournaments. Summer Major last year and a couple others. I don't remember these holes very well, so we'll see where they're at. But these are all brand new pin placements here, so we'll have to see if the approaches are the same. I think on hole number 1 we're just going out in here and trying to get over and get on in 1 is what I seem to remember, but we will see. I'm going to take a Titan. The king of balls. And it'll be either bag number 1 or bag number 2. One of the two. We'll go out and practice today, so I'm not really worried about. I want to play sometime this week with Dunner, so I'm probably just going to go out there and I may tank a few shots just so I don't make it. Hole number 1. The par 4. These par 4s, starting off with these par 4s at the beginning of these tournaments, it's so important to pick up an eagle right off the bat. It really kind of sets your round up. Set you up for success. If I can get an opponent. The big dog. My opponent's using a Quasar and they can get up there nicely, so I can probably switch to a Katana. What's up, baby?
I was just bringing these over. I keep tripping on them.
See if my opponent can get up there in the slot. A little bit of curl. Perfect. Should have watched what kind of topspin they put on there. Very nice. That'll work. That will work. That dog will hunt right there. We got plenty of room on the red line, so if we had a headwind day, still be able to work it out. Three side spin ball will work a little bit better. I'm staying 3 rings off right there because I want to give myself a little separation from that tree. There's 3-3, and I'm going to do a little over. Put some curl on it to bring it back towards the cup. 1 ring great to the right. Yo, right. Could have put on just a titch more topspin and a little bit more curl, but a 3 side spin ball would have helped me out there. I'm not a big fan when you're taking those shots of pinching where you're give yourself some room from that tree, because if you hit it great to the left and you clip the lower hanging branches on that tree, It's always better to give yourself a little bit more room and just use a little bit more curl or side spin. And you do not need to bring out a 3-power ball, but I would think strongly about bringing out a 2-power ball so that you can give yourself a little bit of room from the red line. That way, if we're on headwind days, you don't have to change your whole shot. You may just add just a little bit of top spin. And you can still work it out. Hey. Hey, damn it. I don't like it when it's doing that shit. It's usually not a good sign when the ball guide's appearing and disappearing. Hit it great to the right or left, my other right. All right, that hole should be that hole is pretty straightforward. We should be able to get an eagle on that every time. The only risk there is that if you overshoot it. If you have lower developed stuff, you really want to try and get on the green, because sometimes your short clubs, your wedge, may not be very developed. Firefly, use a Firefly if you got lower level clubs. That way you got some ball guide. And remember that when you're close to the cup, here's the flagpole, here's the cup, and here's the outside of the green, here's the fringe, and then you're out in the fairway. When you're close, one of the things I see with people that have lower developed clubs is the wind's not really going to be a factor from this distance. So aim straight towards the flagpole. Don't aim off the flagpole, because if you don't hit it perfect, there's a good chance you're going to miss even though you're that close. So aim right at the flagpole. Hole number 2. Hole number 2. All right, my teammate sent me this, if I remember correctly, it's hard to get underneath of this tree. There's a spot that's down here, and what club am I using? I think I'm using my Grizzly. I think I might be in mid club. And it should be 1.1 plus 1. And I think it's just a straight up shot. And you can use a navigator. My teammate Richard sent me a bunch of messages this morning, and for a bunch of these holes. He was, by the time you get your video up, I'll have already got all my accounts in. You're right. Maybe. Navigator. Grizzly. I think it's Grizzly. I think. Shh. Let's see where we're at. And I'm not sure that from NET, like, it may change clubs. You may be in a bigger club from the farther back tees, but I think you can do the same shot underneath of the tree here. It's dropping down to the hole. So 3.1 divided by 1.1, 2.81 plus 1, 2.9 rings. There's 2, 9. Exactly. Hitting it dead center perfect. Get in the hole. Or be close. It's going to roll. Not enough. Not enough. And I wrote down, I'm trying to play my Grizzly, so if you play your Grizzly, if you look at the numbers, go to Golf Clash Notebook and look at the numbers, the win numbers for a Grizzly. Even though it's a 100% accurate club, it actually plays at 0.9. And I think I might play that hole at, because I'm in mid, I might play that hole at 1 plus 1. My notes say to play it at 0.9. If the wind's over 2, it should be minus 0.1. Mid is 1.0 plus 0.1. And minimum is 1.3 minus 0.1. 1.0 plus 0.1. Grizzly. Trying to make some notes here. And I actually have some notes when I'm playing. What the heck? Be prepared. What are you talking about? That's Boy Scout shit there. I got to remember the rest of these holes. Some holes you just look out and there's like, okay, there's one way to play them, but some of these holes, I'm sure there's more than one way to play, and if they've got new pin placements, the old way might not work. I think of one course like the Oasis, and I talk about it all the time. That course, when they changed the pin placements on it and came up with the alternate pin placements, the shots are definitely different. A lot of those holes, we played them one way, and that was the only way to play them. And if you play them that way with the new pins, you are screwed. You have to play them from the other side. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. All right. Let me think if I can remember this hole. It seems to me that there was a spot that if we got into these trees, like if we draw a line through the trees, there's a spot right here that goes through these trees that we can get there. So if you're short here, you got the trees in your path coming at the green, and from where we're at here to where we're trying to get to down here on the green, so here's our starting spot and here's the flagpole. If we think about the arc of our ball coming to it, these trees are down here at the end where we're coming through the trees. We'd like the trees to be in the middle at the apex of our flight. And so it's not good to be short. And if you're long, you want to be long past these trees. So out into this area right here, if I remember correctly, if you get in the rough out here, you can still recover and get up. But where we were trying to shoot to was there's a lane that's right here. And if I can get my pen to work. There's a lane right here that you can go through these trees to get onto the green. And so it's really important to get into that lane, but I cannot remember how much topspin to put on there. So we'll just have to wing it. Wing it. Take a Titan. The King. And an extra mile should work. I'll have to dig out my notes for one of the previous ones to see what the topspin was, but I know it was very, very specific. Because if you hit it just a little bit too long or just a little bit too short, you're behind those trees and you're screwed. So you wanna have it nailed down. If I can find an opponent. If. That's a big if. That's a capital letter if. I got Steven. Is it Steven? Valhalla. Stefan. They've got 6 topspin on there. And that. And they're leaving the wind in. And they're hitting. Okay, there you go. You better put some curl on it, otherwise you're just going to end up in the rough. And they hit it pretty close to 2 rings, great to the right. Let's try and do better than that. And where I want to get is then that. Hey. Excuse me. What in the shit is going on? I'm going to put on 4 topspin and we'll see how that does. 3-3. I'm going to take the wind out. There's 3-3. Hitting it perfect. That was with 4 topspin. Could have gone a little teeny bit further. Not much, but just a little. So maybe 4 and a titch. It's hard to tell if I got more carry on the drive because you're not seeing the ball guide, so you don't know exactly where it was going to end anyways. The good thing about where my opponent hit down there is if you get all the way in the rough down there, you can't recover. But if you're anywhere else in the rough, you could be in a spot of bother. I have no idea. No idea. There's Max, and there's Men. So I'm at Men Club. Men Club is 1.3, 3.4 divided by 1.3. I'm just going to take a straight up shot and we'll see where we're at. The white ring off the sand. .61. There's 261. Hitting it perfect. Oh! Almost in the hole. Slight overpull. It was that one that got me. Let's see what my sniper says. At max, or at minimum, I did divided by 1.3. It should have been 1.2 plus 1. So it's 2.6, 1.2. Would have been 2.9. That would have definitely been an overpull. Let me see what my numbers here. I got 2 different numbers written down for my sniper. So at 1, my original number is a 1.3 at Men, and I was pretty damn close to Men. That would have been 2.6. My other numbers say 1.2 plus 1. That would have been 2.9. So I'll have to work on that. We might have to take a little bit of wind off. Let's see what taking a little bit of wind off would be. 0.9 times 0.9, 2.5. Maybe take a little bit of wind off of that. I could zoom down in on my ball guide pretty good there, so it might be slightly uphill. We'll work on that one. Work on it. But that is the spot. Is getting, well, you can either try and get out into this area here, and like I said, if you're going for this spot and you overshoot it, you can still recover. And you still got a shot at it. Or you can try and go for that lane. The thing about that lane is you got to be in that lane, because if you hit it a little bit too short or a little bit too long, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. All right. Just wondering where the new pin is. If the new pin's over here, we might be able to do a rough bump. Let's go out there. Let me take a quasar. That'll give me a little bit more side spin option. And we'll see where the new pin placement's at. And let me make sure I have a bag set up with a Goliath, just in case. Just in case. Hole number 4. Da-da-da-da. the Broncos. They're 420 friendly. Out on the course? Maybe. Maybe. Alright, we got the splash screen. Now we're loading. The wheels are spinning. Loading. Maybe. Hello? McFly? Hello? Opponent disconnected. Alright. Finally. Well, I guess that if the pin placement moved here, it didn't move far. There's Max. There's Min. I'm at mid club. Three rings off. So mid club would be 1.1 and be pretty close to 3 rings. Little shy. I'm gonna do 3. That's a little bit of a plus. Hitting it perfect. Just not quite enough. So 3.1 divided by 1.1. And I did 3 times 1.1. If I added on 10%, that would have been 3.1. Did I overpull that? I might have overpulled that. I think I came in high on it and the way the wind's blowing, so I overpulled it. I'll have to go back and look at that. It seemed like at the time I underpulled it, but I might have overpulled it. That's the benefit you guys have watching the video. I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. I have to go back and watch the video, and you're going, dumbass, you missed it. You overpulled it. Or you underpulled it. You know, I don't. I like how my opponent's ball released and rolled out. Don't give me that. That shit happens. Shit, it's not going to go in every time. Come on. It's the way it works, bro. I'm gonna miss this on purpose. I'm gonna miss it on purpose because I don't want to qualify my account today, so I can play later on this week with Dunner. It's all good, bro. It's all good. I'm not a fan of doing what my opponent's doing right there, where you just get the hole to glow. I want to see the ball guide coming out the other side of the hole. Because sometimes when it glows like that, you release and it won't make it all the way to the cup. And I've had that happen. I'm speaking from experience. Get the ball through the hole. Hole number 5. Alright. Do I remember this hole? It seems to me that we were trying to hit through this and trying to get out into this area right here. Bringing out a big ass ball, trying to hit out here on the tip. You can lay it up on the tip and then go for it. But it seemed to me that we were trying to get over to the other side. Let's see which way the wind's blowing. The wind is blowing with us. And I believe we had to bring out a big ball to get that amazing shot done. Whatever Power 5 ball I have the most of. Other than the top spin boost ones. Don't need a top spin boost. I might be able to bring out a Power 4 ball. I think those are precision. Those are, and I don't want to waste any precision balls. That ball might work. Let's try that. Let's see if a Power 3 ball will work. If not, I can bring out a We'll see what works. I can bring out a berserker. Now the question always is on these, my APOC doesn't have quite as much topspin as my extra mile, but it does have that little teeny bit of extra distance. I think topspin's probably going to be the order of the day here. It's probably going to be more important. Josh, right off the bat, Unicorn Scorn. I go first. Where's that second bounce hit? Way the hell out there. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. I'm going to leave the wind in. $7,000 rings great to the right. Ooh, I cleared it. Look at that. Damn, with a power 5 ball, I might be able to get all the way to the green. Well, I had all that topspin boost on there, so that changed the dynamic. You can see where their second bounce is right there. Now, if they leave the wind in, it'll help, but you can see where their second bounce is, like right. It's in the fairway, but it's really close to going through that. So if the wind pushes them forward, their second bounce is going to hit really high up in the rough. And you got to watch your second bounces like that and see how the ball is flying. Because like you could get lots of distance on this drive, but then right here, even if they would have hit the rough right there, I think they would have got caught up in the rough. It might have been better in that situation to bring out a power 4 ball so that you hit the All right, where are we at? I think it's about 8 per ring, so I'm going to do a half a ring. It's probably in the 4 per ring, and I needed to do a whole ring and not a half. Ooh! Close. 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 I should have checked where I was at in my club. That should have been my first thing. It felt like I was down in the third of a club. It was less than half. Anybody that's using the app is like, dude, that was like a bad, like you should have did like 7 rings. I play my rough iron and my sand wedge different than what the app says, and I've had a lot of success with both clubs, and I'm going to stick with how I play them. I shot a video on it. It's probably the best video I ever shot, talking about how rough irons work, that rough irons are different. We have to think of them different. They're super, super accurate clubs, and we have to think about how they work differently than other clubs, because they can hit from, they don't have a range. Like your long iron hits from like 129 to 119 or 110 or 109. So you got this range. You got maximum club and you got minimum club, and it's 30 yards apart. Whereas your rough iron hits, especially if you're using Nirvana, it hits what, 135? So you can hit from 1 inch to 135. So the closer you're at in your club, the accuracy is going to change. The rings are going to change big time. So like if you think about, just taking we'll just take a sniper for instance. My numbers that I got written down are 1, 1.2, 1.3. Well, I've got two numbers. The other one's 1, 1.1, 1.2. But as you get closer to you in the club, the rings get bigger. So instead of being 1 per ring, if you're in minimum club, it's 1.2. Well, with your rough iron, you're out here at 135, and let's say you had a 100% accurate rough iron, you got a Nirvana that's maxed out, and it's at 2 per ring. I played it at double its accuracy when it's at max, and when you pull it out to 1 inch in front of you, well, shit. If the rings get bigger on your normal clubs when you get closer, think about how much bigger the rings are when you're only, quarter club into your rough iron. They're not. They play different, and they're super accurate. The only difference with them is that the needle speed's faster. Hole number 6. Hole number 6. I better make sure I tank a lot of these shots so I don't get in. Hole number 6. Now, I think this is a par 5, right? Big ass. No, is this par 4? This is a par 4. That was a par 5. Okay. What are our options here? So I think we're hitting off of this and then trying to get over on this side. We'll have to see. I actually can't remember this hole. I'll probably remember it as soon as I get out there on the course. But man, it seems like a long ways to get from the tee box here out into this area, let alone making it over to this fairway. We will see. We shall see. I'm going to bring a Titan. I'm going to bring a Titan to this knife fight. Let's see what we can get done with the Titan. And a extra mile. I think that was side wind. A little teeny bit of headwind, but mostly side. Joe P. Joe P goes first. Man, that seems like a long par 4. Long. Because they're using a 4 power ball, and you can see where they're at. Just hitting it out there to the tip and driving it in from there. Now come on, you brought out a topspin boost ball. Use it. Doesn't that seem like they're going to hit long? In that situation, I'm not a fan of see how that's downhill? So we get a day where we got tailwind and it'll carry that ball, and it's easy to, I like to give myself a couple rings of separation. Ooh. Man, that seemed like it was going to go long. It damn near ended up in the sand. Damn near. Do we have a rough bump here? We do have a rough bump to the cup. And I'm not sure with a power 3 ball if you got enough oomph, especially against a headwind, to get over. Let's see if we brought out a see if we bring out a power 5 ball, what that looks like. Definitely got enough with a power 5 ball to get over there. Oh, not when you hit it. I don't understand how that wasn't good. And I'm not saying that's good. That's bad. That's bad. Let's just chip it forward and see what our shot would be like if we actually ended up on that. Wish my opponent would move their club so we could see where they're at in it. Move it forward. Let's see where your red line's at. See if you have to bring out a big dog or if you can hit that with a sniper. I have no idea where they're at in their club because they haven't checked it out. But it seems like they would be in their sniper range, and there's got to be a rough bump you can do off that. That's probably not a bad way to go. That sand looks like it's not too deep where it'll distort the rings. It looks like their rings are pretty even there. Some sands, the ledge is so steep that it immediately distorts the rings, but that looked like it was pretty level. The question is, can we recover from where I'm at? It's always nice to know if you can recover there, so if you don't make it, it's not a big deal. You can recover and go up there and get your... Yeah, see, you can easily recover. Easily. Let's see what the shot would look like if I actually made it over. So this is where we're trying to hit to. Just somewhere out in there, we just want to, even if we just eke out... Yeah, it definitely looks like it's downhill. Not much, but a little. I should be, if I was in my off-road right there, I should be in my grizzly. And I should be towards minimum grizzly. Let's see where I'm at in my club. There's Min. There's Max. So I'm about mid-club. Mid-grizzly is 1.0. I'm going to play the 1.0. I don't know if I have enough topspin here. Nope. This is a... Definitely, if you're going to take this rough bump, you want to bring your Goliath. Well, you'd have to eke way up there. Whew. Well, I don't like to give myself that much room. I like to give myself a little more room than that. 4.4. 4.84 rings. There's 4.84 exactly. Hitting it perfect. We'll see where I hit. If I hit in the rough, just barely. I added 10% onto that. I had a pretty good rollout to it, but you definitely have to bring out a Goliath in order to make that rough bump. Note to self, bring out a Goliath on that hole. But there is definitely a shot there, if you can get over to the other side. But you can recover if you don't. So I'm probably going to go for that. Now, I will say there's a nice clean, if you're in this area right here, there's a nice clean sniper shot. And let's look at my sniper. Let's look at the sniper. So sniper's got 68 topspin versus grizzly at 50 topspin. I didn't need a whole lot more. It might be able to get me there with a sniper. So definitely having a bag with a Goliath in it, because you can definitely get up there with a Goliath. And you wouldn't have to eke so close to it because, like, you know, you got that rough area, and having to be like a 16th of a ring off of the front of it's not really good. Anything to the left you miss. If you overpull it you miss, especially with the wind blowing the way that it was today. So a Goliath will definitely be nice there, and a Goliath's got bigger rings, so you don't have to you're not going to have to move it very much. Alright, that was hole number, what was that? Hole number 6, hole number 7. Hole number 7. There's got to be a rough bump here. I think this might be another Goliath hole. Maybe. It seemed like there was... I know we were doing a rough bump off of this. I'm going to bring my bag number 1, but I've got that Goliath bag in there just in case I need it. I don't know that we'll need a lot of side spin, but we might. Sometimes on these types of shots, so like where I'd like to set my ball up is in this wedge right here, as opposed to right here. Now, you may be forced to set it up right here, but I'd like to set it up in that triangle in this area, because then, you know, you're giving yourself more rings of separation away from the sand. So if the wind's blowing in this direction and you can set it up here, you give yourself a full 2 rings. Whereas if you have to set it up right here and we get a tailwind, what you really like when you're using this spot is to get a pure side wind or any kind of wind that's blowing on this side of the arc. Right? Any wind that's blowing from behind, any tailwind, now you're going to have to adjust over the sand, and that can cause problems. But if you're in this area right here, it gives you a little bit more separation, and then you could use side spin to get to the hole. Especially if you have any low wind balls, because then you can keep the wind down so that you never have to pull over the sand, ever. But if you have to hit in front here, even if you got a low wind ball, there's going to be days where you may have to pull over the sand, and that's usually, not always, but in many cases it can be tricky. It can be. Let's go out there and just play it. We'll play it. We'll wing it. And that wind right there, if I could get into that triangle area, it will help because I can give myself a lot of room from the sand. But it'll probably be one of those things where you'd have to bring out a bigger side spin ball to bring it back around. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Sniper. Yeah, I'm going to have to hit it. You'll have to hit it from in front. Let's see. If I can get the hell where I don't have shit in my way. Where am I at in my sniper? There's max. There's min. So I'm about mid sniper. So it should be times 5 divided by 1.1. 5.45 rings. I'm going to just let it wait. I'm going to let it time out. Now that I know the kind of the deal I need to do. I think if you brought out a bigger side spin ball, something that had 4 or 5 side spin, you could work yourself more into that area. So my opponent's got a 3 side spin ball. You could bounce it over. That was kind of nonchalant on the setup there. Close. Let's bring out a ball with more side spin. Side spin. There's one of those. It's got 2 side spin. Swap the ball out. Hey. All right. I'm just wondering how much farther I can get over. I can get a little bit more into it with a bigger side spin ball, but it's not really going to do me any good. Hey. And I didn't get to take the shot at all. Look at that. Trying stuff out and didn't get to even take a shot. And my opponent's probably thinking, what the shit are you doing, dude? Don't you know you're qualifying today? Don't you know? Okay, hold on one second. Hold on. All right. Had to go talk to a man about a horse. Let's practice that one once, so I can take a shot in at it. I will practice it once, just for you guys and gals. I don't want to cheat you. If I can find an opponent. If. So I was a mid-club. If I can find an opponent. Huey. Let's work the wind first. If we can get out there on the course. What the hell is the problem getting out on the course? Just getting out. Oh. I went to the wrong hole. And you're all like, dude, you went to the wrong hole. No, I don't want to be a D-bag. And I'm not sure if I forfeit if it'll screw my opponent up. So I don't want to forfeit and screw my opponent up. I'm not a fan of those signs at all. So now we're going to get this hole, and we're going to get the next hole, and we're going to get this hole again. It seemed to me that you can do this with a kingmaker and my number 5 bag. And put 5.5 topspin on. Where's that put me? I'm going to put all of the topspin on. I think a bigger ball would help. 2.5. Hitting it perfect. We'll see if that's enough curl to get me around the corner. I think I need to bring out a bigger ball so that I can get a little bit away from that rough. Maybe that might work. It won't work on headwind days. It's definitely a shot you don't want to have to take overpower, because overpower will throw you off trajectory. It's not about getting farther forward, it's about getting more to the left. And I think I went through the rough right there, so a bigger power ball we'll go look at that hole when we get on it, but that's a long ass putt for me. It's a long ass putt. It's a max overpower putt. And I missed it, which is okay because I don't really want to qualify today. I want to make sure. I'm not sure if it happens as much now as it used to, but a lot of people would, because we didn't have practice. You couldn't go into practice, so Monday a lot of people practiced. So they tanked their rounds. And you wouldn't quite tank your round enough, and then you'd end up qualifying. I think I qualified one time with a 6. I wasn't happy. I figured a 6 would be well enough to not qualify and then qualify with a 6. Okay, let's go back, and we're looking at hole number 7. So let's go back and practice hole number 7. Practice. Practice now, and practice hole number 7. Okay. Quasar. Here, let me go in here and change this so you don't have to. So I don't have to change it while I'm out there on the course. Quasar. Da-da-da-da-da. That'll work. Proxing hole number 7. Practice, practice, practice. If I can get an opponent. Ifin. I think that last hole of 444 is probably the ball. You want to get as much side spin as you can, and you don't necessarily need, like with a APOC, I think you can eke out a little teeny bit more side spin than 3 and still get on all the top spin. I think I hit the rough, and it seems like I was going towards the direction of hitting the rough. There's 6 backspin. .1 divided by 1.1. 5.56 rings. There's 5, 5. There's the 6. Hitting it perfect. See if that against a headwind like that, if that was enough. Whew. That was almost an overpull. And I didn't have trajectories. I put a little. I was 6 backspin. I probably could have put on like 5.5. Maybe 5.5. That's 2 right hand side spin. And like 5.5 backspin. Maybe 5. And I did a plus 20 there, and that was. My trajectory wasn't too bad, but I definitely hit closer into the rough. I overpulled it. Maybe a 10%. And in that case, if you were hitting a mid sniper and you were using 1.1 as your mid number, and you added on 10%, then that balances out, so it's just 1 to 1. I'm going to put that note here, 1 to 1. Sniper. Quasar. 1 to 1. Mid club. Okay, so you got to see me shoot number 7. We actually took a shot on hole number 7. What's the deal? Let's go look at hole number 8. So this is what I'm talking about. See the angle of this rough. So like where my red line was out with a 3 power ball and going off in this direction, trying to make up this gap. I'm not sure on that shot if I didn't clip the rough. It was right there through that area, and because of the tree, the angle shot from behind the tree, I couldn't tell whether I clipped the rough or not. But with a 4 power ball, you can push your red line forward, which means that not only can you go forward in your shot, but you can also move more to the left for the shot setup, which cuts this angle inside. So you're benefiting. Even a power 5 ball would be even better because it pushes your, instead of your red line being here, just picking a spot, you're here. So that means you can start your shot more off to the left, and the whole goal is to try and get to the left. So instead of facing off into this direction, well, it'd be facing off into this direction. You're now facing off into this direction, so your angle here is not nearly as steep as it would be with a power 3 ball. And if you're on a day with headwind, a bigger ball will help you out to get around that corner. Because really where I want to be, I don't want to have that long ass putt. I want to be just like right off the green, or I want to be at the cup. But going at the cup, you've got to, you're flirting with disaster with this rough area here. So for me personally, I'd rather just be right off the green out here and chip it on and go with that shot. So I'm thinking, which is always dangerous, that a 4 power or bigger ball would be better. Let's go power. And let's go side spin. What are my options? I don't really need any top spin boost. And I don't have anything that will help me out there. I'm out of 444s, and there were some 444 precision balls that were on sale a week and a half ago, and I was sick that week and did not get on and buy any. Arrgh. And I don't really need the top spin boost. But I think the way the wind's blowing today, that right there will just work. The side spin being the important part of that equation. Use what you got. And be happy you got it. Let's go check out hole number 8. Hole number 8. If we can find an opponent. The big if. Yeah, and it's definitely, so what happens if you use overpower on this is you got to, overpower pushes you farther forward, but you're trying to get all the way to the left. So you can get all the way to the left, but now you went too far forward, and all the way to the left gets you caught up in the rough. So you gotta, if you're gonna use overpower on a shot like this, you gotta set it up farther to the left. You gotta think about where the overpower is putting you at the end of your shot, so you can still make it around the bend. I'm just wondering with some of the top spin boost balls that are out there, if you can't just hit it straight forward and try and bridge that entire rough area, especially if you got upper developed stuff. No, that's definitely not enough curl unless you're just trying to blast it through the trees. Are they just trying to blast it through the tree? I guess they are. And it'll roll back down. I wouldn't want to have to take that shot very often because you can hit that tree and it can throw you off in a obtuse angle. Throw you off in a weird trajectory. Just wondering if you can't get out here, if you had a big topspin boost ball, if you couldn't just bring it around. Now the whole goal is to get maximum more than 3 side spin. Myself as much room as possible, and that's not a lot of room for me. 3/7 would be about 2.5 rings. Max curl. Hit 1 ring great on the right, which is the wrong side. I think that's the same kind of trajectory I was on before, but I think before I clipped the rough, and that's why I was short down there at the bottom. A 4 power ball would work better for that shot because you could clear that completely and be out in front. So a 4 or a 5 power ball, 5 power would be better on days when we have headwind because you could still work out the wind. And not hitting it great to the right would probably help as well. I'm going to tank my putt just to make sure. Just to make sure. Go right back to where I was at. There you have it. That is the way to do that one. Getting around the bend. Hole number 9. See, look at how many shots I've tanked, and really, like, I'm not that far away from qualifying. It's scary. It's scary. But now I can get super aggressive on this last hole, because there's no way I will make it in now. Alright, so hole number 9. We can be aggressive. Now, if I remember correctly on this, we're trying to hit out into this zone to bring it up. You can, if you bring out the right ball and we've got the right wind direction, you can try and get over to this zone right here. Here's the problem with this zone is you almost need to do a rough, because you've got so much topspin to get over there that you really kind of need to clip the rough and then bleed out onto this pad. If you cleared it all the way where you hit that pad, now your only hope is that you carry enough that you can bounce over and get onto this. And I believe that we did that several times. But if you don't make it, if there's none of that where you can clip the sand and get a sand run and then bleed onto this pad, this is a fucking wall. And if you don't make it all the way over, you're going to hit that wall and you're in the drink. But we had a great shot from over here. And the deal with over here is that you want to be in this upper quadrant, and everything's kind of bleeding towards this lower quadrant. And if you're in the lower quadrant, the sand, now you got to get in front of the sand and pinch your shot up. So getting up here was importante. And I believe I was doing a max shot, a max curl shot with my APOC, and it's a blind curl. So I'm pointing out, let's see if we can get the shot. Yeah, it's a long ass hole. So I think I was pointing off into this direction, giving myself separation here so that I could cover this distance to get up into this zone. If you're just trying to hit over here and you're hitting down here and you put max topspin on it, there is the risk that you'll overshoot it and end up in the sand. And I can't remember, I think I was maybe three and a quarter rings off. I had taken the shot several times so that I could figure out where I need to do it, because it's a totally blind curl. You're doing a max curl shot. I like to do max curl if I'm doing this type. If you're doing just a little bit of curl for flavor just to bring it back towards the center, that's one thing. But on a shot like this, where I'm trying to get it, I'm trying to run along the top of this, it's a blind curl shot. So you come out here the first time and you give yourself 3 rings of separation and you take the shot and then you go, hey, I'm low. So you can move, instead of being 3 rings, you can pull it in and be 2.5 rings, then it'll pull this shot up into the zone you're looking for. Or you're 3 rings and you're up here. So now what you need to do is you need to pull it out to 3.5 or 4 rings so that you can get the trajectory that you're looking for so you can end up in the spot. So it takes 1 to 2 times of doing it, but you really got to pay attention to where you set the shot up the first time, so that and pay attention to where you end up so that you know which direction to move your setup so that you end up in the spot that you're looking for. It seemed like I was like 3.5 to 4 rings off. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to bring a Kingmaker because this is we're using curl. Side spin will help us. A 4-4-4 would help. The utility ball. But I'm going to bring my number 5 bag and a Kingmaker to this gunfight. And I'm pretty sure I was able to put on max topspin, because if you're up at the top up there, you can hit, you have more distance to hit. If your ball's ending up low, you may not put on all the topspin because you'll end up bleeding off into the sand. And my opponent has a 3-power 5 topspin boost ball. Are they trying to go forward? I wouldn't try and go forward. And they got 4 and a titch of topspin on. They left themselves about a ring of separation. And they got 5.5. Man, that's not very much room. Hitting it perfect though. I think that's going to go towards the bottom. And that's exactly where I was talking about. So from that right there, you got a great shot, but you'll have to be in front of the sand because the sand's going to be in your way. I'm going to do maximum. I'm going to start off with three rings of separation. We'll see. 3 and a sliver. 3. There's 3 rings of separation. 3, 6. This should be 2.5 rings. Hitting it perfect. And we'll see if I need to go in or out. If I'm really close, so I can go in. I was 3 rings, I could go like 2.5, and that would put me more to the left so that the ball can run out farther. I've got more room on the left, and the farther I can go to the left, the farther it gets me away from that sand. Now the question is can we recover from down here? Because if we can recover from down there, if you screw that shot up, I don't think if you were in the rough, you could probably recover if you were in the rough up high. Especially if you got a Nirvana. The question is, can you recover? The Spitfire's got so much topspin that there's a lot of times, not only does it hit far, but it has a shit ton of topspin. So there's a lot of those that you can recover. I'm going to see if I can recover from down there because it's good information to have. And then I'm going to hit it to where I wanted to so that we can see the shot that I wanted to take. Oh, I can easily recover. But where I'm trying to hit is like right into this area. And you can see I have much more distance down here than where I was at. So if I came in, if I was only 2.5 rings off instead of 3 rings off, it would have put me more on trajectory to get up into that area. And then I should have a pretty straight in shot where the sand's not really in my way. And it's not that the sand is, that you can't get around the sand. It's just trying to hit the shot so you don't have to put as much movement on your ball and you can just kind of hit it straight forward. See, the sand is definitely not in my way. I can be 5 rings off of that sand. Put a little bit of backspin on it. 1.9. I can definitely get down into my rings. I'm going to try just a straight up shot. Just a straight up shot. .9 rings. Hitting it perfect. I probably needed to take a little bit of wind off that. I probably overpulled it. In the hole! There you have it. There you have it. Able to go for it. So you can see on that, let's go back and look at that hole. Damn it, I didn't qualify. So I set my shot up originally out here. I was 3 rings of separation with a katana and a 3 side spin ball. Or excuse me, an APOC and a 3 side spin ball. And I ended up in the sand about right here. So if you draw a line there, you can see how much forward distance I still had on the left. So instead of being 3 rings off down here, if I was 2.5 rings off, that's going to push the club in and make my curl so that I'm more on this trajectory as opposed to this trajectory, and open that up a little bit. I might actually be able to be 2 rings off and have maximum distance in here. And then the second shot, it opens it up, so instead of having to contend, like if you're down in here where my opponent was at, when you come into the cup, you've got to either be in front of that sand or you'll have to stick to the left and then use side spin to bring you back around to the cup. Whereas from out here, you have a straight up shot. You don't have to put as much spin on the ball. It's always nice when you can put a little bit of backspin on a shot and not have to put a lot of side spin, and just trying to control the ball as it goes to the cup. For me, it's the landing spots. Like if I was playing real golf, I would be wanting to get out here because I'd want to take these traps out of play. I'd want to be able to hit straight forward in front of me and not have traps in my way so that I can just try and get it onto the green. Same thing here in Golf Clash, trying to take traps out of play. All right, there you have it. That was a walkthrough scouting report. I don't know that I noticed that much difference with the pin placements. There's a couple of the holes that I think it'd be better to bring out a Goliath instead of a Grizzly if you play with a Grizzly a lot. But I think it's pretty straightforward. We'll see how the week goes. I will try and get together with Dunner. I still have my odd account I can practice with, and if I can't practice again until tomorrow, then I can take my 77 account out and we can try and get matched up. We will see you then. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.